2 days after the earthquake, 249 people are confirmed dead. There could still be survivors, but there are places too dangerous for anyone to enter. Too small, too unstable, spaces that could collapse in an instant. Yet there is one legendary rescue force that dares to go where no one else can. Los Topos, the moles.
Los Topos nacieron a raíz del sismo de 1985 por la idea de formar un grupo especializado que pudiera ayudar en temblores. Principalmente hoy nos dedicamos casi a cualquier tipo de agente perturbador. Somos un grupo especializado en búsqueda y rescate en estructuras colapsadas. El trabajo es sacar a una persona, recuperar un cuerpo o hacer un túnel tal vez para ver si hay alguien más o que pueda entrar una unidad canina, un K9 y verificar si hay vida.
Internationally renowned, they seem to have no fear, crawling into the most inaccessible, dangerous places on Earth after disasters strike. Like Gary and the Canine Squad, it takes a special breed to become a mole.
Somos pocos en realidad, pero es que el trabajo es arduo. Tienes que tener, como dicen, la mente fría, dirigido a lo que vas y sí, lo que te encuentras, sí te deja una huella.
Like many aid groups, the moles are volunteers.
La satisfacción de haber ayudado. Pago no hay, todos somos voluntarios en la brigada. Nos ayudan con donativos, las personas, es nuestro tiempo, es lo que nosotros aportamos a la sociedad.
Teams from around the world arrive to help. 501 rescue workers, 32 search dogs, 440 tons of aid from over 27 countries. Then, on September 24th, aftershocks force rescuers to stop working. But just hours later, they're back at it, refusing to give up. But by then, the death toll has reached 370, and rescue turns to recovery.
And that's always hard to accept. We don't ever, turn that portion off of looking for the live victims. But we just know that the chances are decreasing as time goes on.
As the death toll mounts, the question arises. With Mexico's advanced warning in place, with over 100 seismic sensors, why was there so little time between when the alarms rang out and the earthquake hit?
So Mexico's warning system is very focused on a few seismic sensors along the coast, providing a warning to Mexico City and now to some other cities as well.
But instead of originating along the coast, the earthquake originated inland, closer to Mexico City.
The epicenter was 50 kilometers from the city. Because the earthquake was so close, the P wave had actually arrived in the city by the time the sirens went off. So you have this much closer, smaller, but much stronger shaking because it's much closer to the city. So the system did work, but it didn't go off until after the first seismic waves had arrived.
The disaster takes its emotional toll.
You're making plans for future, you're going through your daily life, and then somebody's trying to take away your city, right? Nothing else really makes sense. Someday this could strike again, but you just can't leave the city. It's a great city.
The Mexico City anniversary earthquake highlights the need for improved detection.
The whole system has to be much faster because the system has to provide warnings for earthquakes that are right beneath our feet. So we have to absolutely minimize the time it takes to process the data, understand the earthquake, and push the warning out to people. We cannot predict earthquakes today, for sure, and most seismologists don't think we'll be able to do it in the foreseeable future. And the reason is that on any given fault plane, there are hundreds of earthquakes, very, very small earthquakes every single day. And then on a particular day, at a particular time, one of these small earthquakes grows to become a big earthquake. So to predict the big earthquakes, you need to predict all of these tiny earthquakes and which one of them will become large. Plate tectonics tells us that we continue to get these recurring earthquakes in the same locations, similar kinds of magnitudes.
But what's happening when thousands of kilometers away, earthquakes rock unsuspecting communities far from any fault lines?
All of a sudden, boom! Just like a huge airplane had crashed in the yard.
It's the middle of the night when the Earth moves. 6 years before the Mexico City earthquake, and 2,000 kilometers north, a sudden shaking wakes up residents of the small town of Prague, Oklahoma.
I was in bed when it woke me up. We didn't know what that was. Earthquakes really were something that happens in California, not in Oklahoma.
There's a tremendous shaking and vibration, and we knew exactly when it occurred because it stopped our grandfather's clock in the parlor at 2:15 a.m. on the money.
A 4.7 magnitude earthquake had just struck.
We hadn't had any earthquakes really around here, so we didn't know what that was. Tornadoes, floods, hailstorms. Those are the disasters that you really thought about, for this area.
At 10:53 p.m. that night, they're struck again. It's unmistakable, a 5.7 magnitude earthquake. It's felt as far away as Wisconsin, almost 1,300 kilometers away.
All of a sudden, boom! Just like a huge airplane had crashed in the yard, the house started shaking, the walls began cracking, there was dust flying, my wife was screaming, crying. I was spread eagle legs apart just to keep standing up. And I just knew in my own mind that upstairs were going to come crashing down into the first floor. It was very terrifying.
We received a lot of calls. People thought there was an explosion because it was so loud and shook everything in town. A lot of people thought maybe something ran into their house. So the police department, they were inundated with calls. And then we got the teams out looking around for damage.
Joe and his wife had just gone to bed before the big quake hit.
We both felt very grateful to have left the room at 10:30 because our big chimney came through the roof and landed where she had been sitting about 10 minutes before. If we had gone to bed 10 minutes later, I would be here as a widower.
By the morning, nearly 30 aftershocks have rippled through the ground. 10 of them above a 3.0 magnitude. Houses look like they've been ransacked. 14 homes and a university building have sustained damage.
Every corner, there was large cracks. Over every door, every window, there were cracks.
Between Prague and Meeker, the highway actually buckled in places. There were a couple of injuries from the earthquake. There was a woman that was hit by debris that fell through the roof of her house. There was quite a lot of distress within the community, kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop. When's the next one going to happen? And how big is it going to be? Is it going to be worse than the one before?